Hey guys, B Twice here. Today is Tuesday, August 3rd. I do not have a lot of time today, so we're going to go through this relatively quickly. We're going to look at CrowdStrike. It was my chart of the day yesterday. I wanted to do a new chart today, but I didn't. I simply just don't have time today. I'll try to get a new one out there tomorrow. Why is this looking like that? Okay. So with that being said, CrowdStrike, what are we seeing? So if you go back and watch my video from yesterday, you can see exactly how we get to where we're at. We're going to look at the micro level here. What we're looking at is that we had pulled down for an ABC move, and this is where we saw it hit yesterday. So this was yesterday. We bottomed at the 23.6% retracement, which is a common spot for a wave 4 to find bottom. So it is possible that we found bottom yesterday. But what I was expecting was a pullback for a W, meaning that this C was a W, that we're going to do a three-wave move to the upside to find our X somewhere. And then ultimately we would head lower for a Y, and that's where we could get an entry. So now there's two things I'm seeing here that's making me interested in this. So one is that we are already pulling back. So maybe tomorrow, if we can get a pretty nice flush, we'll get back into this range. If we fall back into this range, it's definitely a dip buy because that would mean we're going to be getting really close to a Y bottom. So I'll be watching this. So it is possible that we've already peaked for our X. So it's possible like the bears are thinking, hey, we've already peaked for our X. We peaked today. Ultimately, we're going to see a pullback. Maybe we see it tomorrow. Maybe we see it Thursday. It's going to pull us back down into this range. If we can get lucky enough to get this guy at this 38.2% retracement down by 235, that's going to be a great dip buy spot just because we're going to ride this thing up to around 290 a share for this wave 3. So that's what the bears are thinking. What the bulls are thinking is that actually we'll move this out of the way real quick, that we already popped up for 1 and we pulled back for a 2. So now what do we do if that's the case? Well, if that's the case, we're going to rally up for a wave 3 probably tomorrow. We'll pull back a little bit, then we'll rally up for a 4 or for a 5, and then we'll probably peak for that. It's going to be a wave 1 of a higher degree. We'll probably peak somewhere before all-time highs, and we'll get another pullback, and on that pullback is when we'll go long, because then we'll have confirmation that we're in a 5-wave move to the upside, because we'll see a clear 5 waves, meaning that it's not an X. We've already bottomed, so we'll see those 5 waves up. We'll get 3 waves to the downside. So I'll keep watching this, because if I do see the 5 waves up, I'll either tweet about it when it could be a dip buy, or I'll do another video showing that, hey, here's a new clear entry on it, so we can ride this puppy up to 290. They have earnings at the end of this month, and they have a tendency to beat earnings. I would expect that this move happens either running up to earnings or maybe a blowout after earnings to get it up to this 290 range. All right. So now let's take a look at SPY. Okay, so SPY I talked about yesterday. Real quick before I delete these lines, this red line down yesterday and this green line up is what I had drawn. What I was expecting is that we were going to get another flush to the downside, and then ultimately we were going to rally. And now I'm going to delete these lines so we can see what happened. Let me pull a little bit more out. So what we ended up seeing was exactly like I thought. We retraced at open. We flushed, even though the futures were up, I believe, close to 0.5% or something like that. And I figured I was wrong. We ultimately did flush it open, and look where it took us. It took us right down to the 100% extension. So this was our wave 2 bottom. So ultimately from here, I'm 99% sure that we're not going to have significantly more downside. I do think we're going to flush down. What I think that what happened is we had an A, a B, and a C, and we bottomed on this 100% extension. Like I had said yesterday, we're going to bottom somewhere in here. And then right now we're working on a 5-wave impulse to the upside, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then this is going to be a higher degree wave 1. We might even have got it at the end of the day today. We'll see where we open tomorrow. Maybe we go a little bit higher tomorrow, and then we should see a pullback for a wave 2. So if you didn't buy the dip today, if we do get another flush to the downside, I would say buy that dip, because that should be a wave 2. But it may end up being super shallow. This market has been loving to do pullbacks very, very shallow so that people can't get in. So we'll be watching this, but I do expect to have a little bit of a pullback. Who knows where it'll take us? Maybe 438, maybe 439, something like that. So it probably won't be super deep. And then from there is we're going to get the big move to the upside. I do think that SPY is going to hit somewhere near 450 this month. Maybe it's 448, something in that ballpark, to get to a wave 3 top. So still very bullish on SPY overall. And it looks like we did get this dip buy today that we were looking for. All right, QQQ. So QQQ ultimately, I think I was wrong on. So before I talked about how I didn't like this being an A, B, C to the downside, and I really liked seeing an A, a B, and that we were going lower for C. But then today when SPY flushed, so did QQQ. But look what it did. It didn't break the low that we set yesterday. It looks like it pretty much double bottomed right around that same exact spot. So with that being said, and the fact that I think that now SPY looks bullish, I don't think QQQ is going to go any lower. I think it did bottom at probably a little bit before SPY did right around here. So basically what we're seeing is that we had a three-way move to the downside for a wave two. We've popped it for a one, we've pulled back for a two, and now we're in a wave three. So after we have this wave three, four, and five taking us to a higher degree wave three, I see QQQ being somewhere around 375 range. So the mid 370s before we see another big pullback. And we should know pretty soon whether or not that's happening because it looks like we are working on a 1-2. A 1-2 sequence. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because right now, QQQ, if it's at where I think it is, then it should be in a wave three and it should have a power move coming. So we'll see. Time will tell because it looks like SPY needs to have a little bit of a retracement while QQQ looks like it needs to rally. So time will tell. Either way, I still do think all dips are buys on both QQQ and SPY because ultimately I still do see QQQ getting up to this 300 or 380 range. And this may be by the end of August. So hopefully we'll get there. All right, so IWM. So IWM has gone lower than I really wanted it to, but I think I talked about this yesterday that if we could get in around 217, that'd be golden. And why is that? Well, because what I'm seeing is that we had popped up for this yellow wave one, we pulled back for a yellow wave two, and those were having these WXY corrections. We had a five-way move to the upside for for a higher degree wave one above this five, but lower than this one and this two. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm not being too confusing right now. But basically now we're popping up for a 1-2, 1-2 nest, meaning that now we're going to be in a true wave 3 of 3. So if I'm correct and we're at a true wave 3 of 3, we should see a very, very powerful move from IWM. So hopefully I'm not wrong about this and we don't go into another correction. Because so far what we're seeing is that we had a W, we popped up for an X, and we pulled down for a Y. Notice where it found its bottom. It found its bottom exactly at the 1.618% extension. That's not by accident. Obviously, people are watching these Fibonacci numbers, and that's exactly why the dip got bought up right there. So now what we have to hope for is that it's not going up for another X and then ultimately pulling back for a Z, because it could go up for an X and pull back for a Z, and as long as it doesn't cross this part right here, 215.36, that's invalidation. So this thing could still go up and then have another flush. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I still really like IWM to get up to this 230 range somewhere within these next couple weeks. So all right, guys, that's what I'm seeing. I hope these videos help. If you like them, please give me a like and subscribe. All right, guys, have a good night.